Welcome back, Elden Ring fans, to another video. We're going to do a quick breakdown of everything inside of Elden Ring's DLC trailer for Shadows of the Erdtree. Currently, we're in Mohg's boss room, and this shot is taken, and we don't know who this NPC is, or if it's us in general. We don't have any armor that matches that, so I'm guessing this is a new NPC. And we're happen to be looking at Miquella's egg, and Miquella's little cocoon is talked about in this section about the power that Miquella has over love and how terrifying it is. And then we get some more pictures like this. I have taken a lot of photos of these. These are just breathtaking. It does look amazing. I would love to explore this world in, hopefully, as it says, in June 21st, but I cannot wait to explore this world with everybody else. That's a beautiful picture when it comes down to the drapes around the Erdtree. We also have this unusual ring and a couple new enemy characters, possibly, maybe new NPCs. We don't know who this character really is. They do have like a slow, menacing turn inside the trailer. But this ring is what really captivates me because it's the center of the focal point is not just the character, it's that ring. And I'll bring that up later. We have, this guy with this awesome looking greatsword. We have this guy who's making jars, I'm guessing. That would be really cool if he's the guy making the jars. But it does say that the blood must be spilled in this forsaken place. This place is forsaken. It's no longer a place valued to anybody, and blood must be spilled. Now, we're kind of wondering whose blood. There's this person laying down. Are we talking about a group of people that we've never heard of? Are we talking about the Nox? Are we talking about the Tarnished? And in reality, it actually refers to the blood of your fellows. We don't know if it's this gentleman talking. We also don't know if maybe it refers to covenants, because that's a really good hint to covenants, is having to kill one another, or possibly having the evasion system upgraded. But it does say the Erdtree Faithful, a very interesting term to use, because when you're referring to a group of people or someone in a covenant, you would call them something like that. The Erdtree Faithful, the devout followers of blood of Mohg or something weird. It's something that links back to covenants. We have an unusual photo of a man, an elderly man, and a woman, and that very much reminds me of Dark Souls 3, the DLC for that, but I won't go into that because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But we have areas like this that look fucking phenomenal. They look like they may be parkour in the DLC when it comes to traversing through some of the dungeons. We have this beautiful shot of this random castle. And it says that they were never truly saints. They were never saints. Who is this they that they're referring to? And that they simply happen to be on the losing side of war. Of a war. And there are multiple wars referred to in Elden Ring. And the Shattering War is the biggest one that I think of when it comes down to that. We have this awesome creature. It looks like it's made out of bodies, and it's just a burning cage. There's a lot of that in the Dark Souls series, so it really hyped me up. We have that worm thing. We have this unusual character that in the trailer dances around while it attacks you. And it reminds me of something that you would see in a Chinese parade, like a Chinese dragon. It's very interesting, and the eyes are very ugly. And then we have this guy, Mesmer. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but this is the antagonist character that I'm seeing in the DLC, in the trailer. And he's very reminiscent of a Godskin, because if you see his clothes, these gauntlets and leggings that he has, they remind me a lot of the Godskin. And he's talking to his mother. He asks his mother the question if somebody unbenefit of light, should truly be the Lord. And it's a very interesting take. I wonder who he's actually talking to. I think he's talking to the Glomide Queen. I think that's why he referred to her as mother. And there's more combat. You can see that we're using two katana curved sword-esque weapons. And we're fighting off this being, and hopefully we can get that weapon too. And then we also have some new throwables, some more enemies that are in the background. This cool looking area that actually this enemy is coming at us from. We are also having new spells and incantations. This works as Report in Dark Souls. So Report works as kind of like the Bewitching branch that Miquella has. The Bewitching branch, much like Report, would allow you to hit enemies and they become your allies for a short moment in time, and it takes over their mentality. And this one happens to be a giant AoE, which makes me think that Miquella's not all there when it comes to being a good guy, because he has multiple control over multiple people at one time. And then we also have something that looks like Bone Fist from Dark Souls 2. It's a fist weapon that can do a whole bunch of cool kung fu moves and whoop the shit out of somebody. But this dude that he's kicking has a twin blade, and we'll see it later on in the trailer. We have some new firebombs, some jar firebombs that the giants throw at us. And if you can recognize it, they're fucking going to be wild, I'm sure. They're going to explode and be giant AoEs, and that should be fun to handle. But then we have this Lap-looking individual who has a repeating crossbow. And he does have some interesting thing to say, you know, like he's like, I presume you're here to learn what Miquella's doing here. We have this new incantation that is a human casting that. It looks like a rune bear with a horn on its head and a mane like a lion. It's very, very interesting. We have this beautiful shot from these two NPCs, these people fighting in the background. It looks like it's one of us and then possibly an enemy trying to fight us back. We have this gentleman who just looks like a wild Crucible-esque monster. Everything I've seen from so far has been Crucible. This is the first time I've seen gravity brought into it. Thanks to the purple magic, we have this hippo monster that can randomly hit the ground and spike up like a giant cactus kind of root. It's another Crucible incantation. So we're seeing a lot of those. Very interesting, and it makes a lot more sense. We have this character. I have no idea what the fuck's going on with it. It threw its arm weapon kind of like a boomerang and then catches it. And that's very unusual, but it reminds me of Radon since it's riding that scrawny horse, but this one's a little bit beefier. We have a gentleman pulling off his own head. And as you can see, you know, they're stripped of the grace of light. You know, that's kind of a weird thing to say. The grace of gold has been stripped from them, and they shall all meet death. Now, that is a very interesting conversation to be having with a gentleman like this, because it is Mesmir's, as we can say, it's Mesmir's flame. He's the one talking about them all needing to meet death, which is very odd because Miquella apparently wanted to save someone like Godwyn and make sure that he would come back from death, but maybe he's not on the same side as all the people who are in death. So and now this is the woman speaking, saying, "Come touch the withered arm and travel to the realm of shadows." That's a very interesting thing. So the withered arm, I would believe, is Miquella's. And they said, "May we meet again." And I do have this really cool shot. We have this weird shield weapon in the left hand, and we have that twin blade in the right hand. And then we also have that Crucible incantation. There's a lot of those. So that's basically the breakdown, a quick breakdown of Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree when it comes down to the trailer. But even after that, we have some interesting things. We have Miquella. I believe this is definitely Miquella. And he's in a dead world, very obvious, but he's the thing filled with light and life, obviously. And he angles his arm back while this is happening very slowly towards the Erdtree. And the Erdtree is in a white kind of dead state. Obviously, it's got the black that we've seen. But as you see above it, it's turning white. And I think that he's actually controlling the power of the Erdtree and taking it for himself. Now we have something new, a new gesture called the Ring of Miquella. Now, in the base game, we have the ring as a gesture, and now we have the Ring of Miquella, which is very interesting because it's a sideways one with our body being a long strip, which, if you looked back at that insignia that I was talking about earlier in the very beginning of the video, it looks very similar. Now, we have a very cool-looking statue of Mesmir the Impaler. He's going to be a very interesting character. He has his own insignia, as you can see on the box and on his back, on his cape. So it's very interesting. There's a lot of cool stuff. But if you liked Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree gameplay trailer and you liked this video, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and we'll talk about it more in a further video, and I can show you some more builds to help you go through the Shadows of the Erdtree.